Is Flight Simulator 2020 the death of X-Plane 11? Well, today, hopefully, I'll be answering that question. Stay to the end to find my opinion on it. Hello YouTube, I'm Pilot Stud and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I do flight training videos, flight sim videos, trip reports and a lot more. So if you love everything about aviation, you've come to the right place. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Do it right now so you don't forget by the end of the video. Now, as most of you will know, Microsoft is releasing their first simulator in around 10, 11 years, a Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. At the moment, the flight simulator market is of course dominated by X-Plane 11, so today I'll be asking the question, is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 the death of X-Plane 11? We'll start off by doing some comparisons, and then I'll give you my final verdict. Let's get right into it. Well, first let's do some comparisons on features of the Sims. Obvious place to start would be specs and price. On the screen now, there's some specs of a Flight Simulator 2020, and as you can see, they're high specs. I mean, I've had to upgrade my computer, which was getting 60 FPS on X-Plane 11 Vulcan, super smooth, and I'm having to upgrade my computer, and it's probably going to cost £400. Price-wise, while not exact yet, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is looking to retail at around £50, and that of course, as most of you will know, is not far off the £50 mark for X-Plane 11. I find that really interesting. I thought they'd put the price up a bit more, but it's clear that they want to target a lot of the market, so I suppose it's a good thing. So therefore, there's no clear winner here. While specs are lower and more affordable for X-Plane 11, it's kind of understandable while they're higher for Flight Simulator 2020, and price is the same. Let's move on to a second point. So scenery wise, as you can see from these screenshots, both look good, but Flight Simulator 2020 looks uber realistic. It looks simply amazing at the price of very high PC specs. There's no denying that you will need a beefy PC, unless of course you choose to play on Xbox. Now, we haven't heard a lot about Xbox. It might be bad, it might be good, so we can't really comment much on that. It's interesting because that targets a whole other audience compared to X-Plane 11, saying that X-Plane 11 is targeting X-Plane is targeting the mobile market. And of course, X-Plane 11 doesn't use photorealistic scenery from the likes of Bing or Google. It uses OpenStreetMap data, and this means that without add-ons, some places look either repetitive or realistic compared to Flight Simulator 2020, which does use Bing Maps data all over, making it look very realistic. Personally, this doesn't mean the end for X-Plane 11 for me, but it may push many VFR flyers and some IFR flyers to Flight Simulator 2020 if they are willing to pay the price for upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, a reason why some of you may not move on to Flight Simulator 2020 from X-Plane 11 is because, or even because of FSX on that matter, is because so many of you will have bought a lot of upgrades, whether that's hardware upgrades that might not be so compatible with FS 2020, or of course add-on scenery or add-on aircraft, which can get very expensive. A lot of planes for X-Plane 11 are actually more expensive than the sim itself. So this financial investment for X-Plane 11 may be a reason why some of you may not move on to Flight Simulator 2020 for a little while or for a long while. Another thing I should highlight as well that will keep X-Plane 11 alive is that many professional organisations such as CAE and FTA use X-Plane 11 as their main flight simulator for professional flight training. So that means Lamina Research are going to have to keep putting money into it, which will hopefully mean that improvements will have to be made for the general public. That of course will keep quite a few people on, and we've seen upgrades quite recently, especially with Vulcan, so some people will stay on. We've also got to accept the fact that despite the glossy trailers, glossy screenshots and promotions and news releases, Flight Simulator 2020 might just be bad. I mean, we had it with Microsoft Flight where a lot of the hype was just completely gone. It was a terrible simulator. This might happen, I doubt it will, but it's a possibility. So for that reason, we can't say that X-Plane 11 will die straight away. However, from these glossy trailers, we can see that Flight Simulator 2020 has some of the features that X-Plane 11 players really want. Take the moving map, which is all over the world for example, and a good casual multiplayer by the looks of it. Those with the capabilities may very well move on. I mean, it is a completely personal choice. And of course, I would like to say that this is my own view, so if you agree or disagree with it, make sure you put it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Another thing why people might not swap over straight away is because of the very large community surrounding X-Plane 11 and Flight Simulator X, if we're going to talk about that simulator. There's plenty of freeware aircraft and freeware scenery, payware as well, for X-Plane 11 and a great, really helpful community. There of course won't be that straight away with Flight Simulator 2020, so some of you may decide that it's probably better for you to stay on X-Plane 11 because of that reason. But that wraps up my comparison of different parts of the simulators. Let's move on to my final verdict. So is Flight Simulator 2020 the doomed end of X-Plane 11? Well, certainly not. When you've got something and you've spent a lot of money on it, you're not going to replace it. The saying goes, why fix something if it's not broken? So I don't think there'll be an instant transition where swathes of people swap from X-Plane 11 to Flight Simulator 2020. There may be some, but I think it'll be more gradual, a smoother transition that might even last up to 5 years. And that is of course if X-Plane isn't improved by Lamina, of course, which I think it will. But I can see they're expecting to lose quite a few people as well, and due to the fact that they're focusing more on their mobile app as opposed to the PC version. Well, there's my opinion on it. I don't think X-Plane 11 will be killed by Flight Simulator 2020. Tell me your thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. But from me today, that is all. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. I've been Pilot Stud. Bye bye.